Okay, good morning all. It's been pleasure to see you for all sessions and Catathlon, which is running from almost a week now. We are about to end Catathlon today with the two sessions remain. The first we have already started now, and the second will be in the evening 5:30. Now, throughout this Catathlon, what we have done, if I revise back by going through it, the agenda, we started with understanding what you mean by the CAT and the other entrance exam and the changing scenario as far as the management study is concerned. Well, by the way, I'm sure my audio and the video is absolutely okay. I just forgot to once again cross check. Yes, if in case you people got any issues, please, you can use the side box which is there for the chat and to raise questions also, and you may correct. If in case you break down in between, need not to worry, just once again refresh the same link and you will join us again. In fact, I'll again advise to have the good output. You may share some headphones if possible. Yes, so I got a green signal from a lot of you that my audio and the video is absolutely fine. No issue on that. Great. Okay, so let me once again go through it. The agenda was we have seen and we have already gone through it. What do you mean by the MBA, the new change, the test, and especially we people have seen that post-COVID, there were a lot of the confusion and the query from the student that what particular things will change as far as the post-corona, the new normal life is concerned, and from that aspect, the kind of a campus life and later on the kind of a placement we will be having. I hope that decent interaction we got on that day. Then second day, we people have gone through understanding the section, and we have understood what you mean by the quant, the LR, and the DR. And not only that, but we have understood by going through the entire syllabus also by slicing that syllabus from the point of view of what are the specific kind of a chapter-wise things we need to understand. And plus, we have tried our best to even understand that how we people can touch to the specific cutoff to get into the Ivy League of your B school. Then I think third day, we have again joined and we have understood what you mean by the world of specialization. And we have gone through it all standard specialization. Along with that, we people have gone through it some new age specialization also. Then followed by that, we people have gone through yesterday. We got a fantastic session and personally very motivating session for me also. And we have seen the girl power in that session, that how these girls from our city only have made it to the big IIMs, and what are the sacrifices they have done, or what are the smart work along with a lot of hard work these people have invested to get the coveted calls, not only from the IIMs but the NEET also and the various other B school also. Now today we are supposed to march on with a very different kind of a topic, and the topic is all about related to the life after MBA and my corporate story. And for such talk, it's always very value additive to have someone who is dealing and willing everything in actual life. And it's my pleasure to have Mr. Vishal Swani from Religare Health Insurance, where he's responsible for retail, sales, and he looks after the entire Western India territory. In fact, Western India territory, that means, responsible to contribute maximum numbers to core balance sheet. So near to 2 decades work experience, and if I guess rightly, Vishal, majorly in BFIS sector, he got opportunity to work with established MNCs and some of the biggest name in India also. People describe him as a sharp, focused, and adaptable person with strong interpersonal skills, which helps him in building great teams. And we both don't only share common names, by the way, but we also share a very strong friendship bonds. So welcome, Vishal, for this Sunday talk. And we are so grateful that on Sunday you have decided to slice up your some personal time and decided to invest to have a meaningful dialogue with our student. Welcome, Vishal.
Thank you so much, Vishal. Thank you. And yeah, completely audible. Am I audible?
Your audio is missing, Vishal.
Oh, is it?
Just a second. Your audio is missing.
Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes. No, we are still not able to hear Vishal.
Am I audible now? Am I audible?
No, not yet, not yet, not yet. Just a minute. Kumar sir, can you help us? His audio is missing. Just a second, we'll fix up.
Sure.
Yes, I think it's there. Vishal, can you just check?
Am I audible now?
No, it's still not audible. Just a sec. Yes, Kumar. Yes. नहीं मैंने नहीं डाला.
Am I audible, Vishal?
Okay, what I understood is all about Vishal. You are audible to large pie of a audience, and unfortunately, only me is missing. So something is gone wrong at my end. Might be. Just a second. We are fixing up.
Sure.
Vishal, can you speak something?
Yeah. Can you
Vishal?
hear me, Vishal? Can you hear
Yes,
me?
here we are. Yes, here we are. Okay.
Great. Okay. Thank you so much, Vishal. Thank you so much. And the introduction that he was giving, I think I was surprised that he's actually talking about me. All right. So we share great memories, childhood memories during our school college days. He's been a good friend, and it's really a pleasure to sort of come on this forum and interact with everyone there. Thank you so much, Vishal. Thank you.
Thank you, Vishal. So I'll just, for the audience also and for Vishal, you also, what we will do that I'll ask you a couple of questions to make sure that we'll set the right tempo. And the
Sure.
audience also will be able to understand your professional journey also. And once we do that, then we'll open the session and we'll love to have the questions from the audience. As in many my conversation and interaction with the other guests, I have realized that my audience is more capable to ask the meaningful question than me. So I'm looking forward for the more interesting Q&A session also there. Right,
Sure.
to start with it, now Vishal, please tell us your career trajectory, how everything evolved. Can you please throw some light, Vishal?
Yeah, so just to give you a brief, almost if one can understand the scenario, almost 20 years back, Nasik used to be a small city. Uh, uh, Typically, I belong to a businessman family. All my relatives, chachas and cousins and all, everyone used to be. In fact, the maximum education that was there within the family was one of my chachas who did a diploma but still didn't get through. So still, I did an engineering in civil engineering. I thought that I would want to follow my father's footstep in terms of construction industry. After that, I realized it is actually not my field, and hence I was more inclined towards working in a structured corporate environment, and hence MBA sort of came into the picture. Uh, at that point of time, frankly speaking, we didn't have much of career-oriented institutes slash mentors slash that kind of visibility also, which is there. Uh, Having said, I did get a good direction in terms of what options do I have, and hence I thought I would want to go for an MBA. At that time, MBA of course was a relatively new kind of a career path. But yes, I did venture into it. I appeared for most of the examinations which were there for the IIMs, the top 10, non-IIM B schools. One thing was very clear to me at that point of time, that whatever I intend to do, I think I should do it from an institute which is of repute primarily, rather than going for an institute where an MBA typically would just be a tick mark on my professional CV. I was lucky to get into IMT Ghaziabad, and from there my journey sort of started. so and so forth. So so for me, I was lucky to get the right kind of orientation which was there, and hence my career path was sort of very clearly defined, Vishal.
Right. Can you just stretch, Vishal, little bit about post MBA, your professional journey till this date?
Yeah, so I did my MBA in marketing. We at IMT we have dual specialization. So I majored into marketing, and then some part of it I did in general management. I was at that point of time placements were good, decent enough is what I would say. Unfortunately, the WTC event happened during the year when our final placements were sort of ongoing. So as compared to our seniors, our placements were relatively, I would say, not in a great shape. Uh, and so, but for an institute for IMT Ghaziabad, we didn't have much of issue. Uh, there were two options left for me. One was going for a very big organization, which is a very structured organization where I would play a role which is more or less a self-defined, a very clear-cut defined role, versus going into a relatively small organization where role definition is not that clear, but you've got multiple learning opportunities. I chose the latter one, and I got into a small company which was into garments, and the company intended to enter into the Indian market. It was predominantly a manufacturer. It intended to enter into the the branding and having their own clothes line and stuff like that. After a year, I was fortunate to get into ICICI Lombard General Insurance, where at that point of time, general insurance in terms of privatization was a very nascent stage. In fact, I was the 100th employee out there that way. And then my journey sort of started from Lombard, between sales and product management. Uh, so I was doing multiple jobs, and on and off, multiple assignments used to come in. Then I my last stint at Lombard used to be managing the bank assurance channel, and you know engaging with the banks. Of course, the grass looked greener on the other side, and I got an offer from Standard Chartered Bank, and hence I took a decision to sort of get into Stancy. At Lombard, I had been into multiple locations. I was managing North, I was managing Maharashtra for couple of months. In Stancy, I moved to Mumbai, where I managed the credit card piece, sales for Standard Chartered Bank. Post that, I again got recalled into a general insurance company where a ex senior at ICICI Lombard had moved there, and he sort of requested and invited me to come at Tata AIG. Again in Tata AIG, I set up the bank assurance channel at Tata AIG. I had a long stint of 7.5 years at Tata AIG. Lot of learnings there, lot of ventures. I used to manage multiple bank relationships like Kotak Mahindra Bank, Axis Bank. So that is some learnings there which I still do not forget. Post that, I went to Cigna TTK Health Insurance to join into the health insurance frame. Again, post almost a year at TTK, I got invited into Religare. And it's been a really good stint at Religare for the last 5 years. And touchwood, if things go well, I see my stint continuing at Religare for a very long innings. So on and on, completely into financial industry, on and on, completely, I would say, into general insurance slash health insurance industry, and I've been enjoying thoroughly the work that sort of coming in, Vishal.
Great. Vishal, at this point, I'll take you again back, and can you just once again, go back to your MBA days, and can you share some of the experience from your MBA?
Yeah, great. So, like I said, born into a business family, small town. Even when I went to Pune to do my engineering, it was still a very localized kind of a crowd that I was mingling with, right? It was only in the MBA school where I actually interacted and engaged with students of multiple disciplines, students from multiple backgrounds, uh, and I think part of the learning, of course, is the textbook learning and the learning that you do at the classroom, and part of the learning is predominantly the kind of people that you live with for 2 years, the kind of environment which is sort of set there on campus. That learning has been equally important, is what I would say. IMT Ghaziabad as an institute, well, I should say that while it's been a institute of repute, predominantly marketing and sales has been the core function of IMT Ghaziabad. And hence from day one, majority of the people, 80 to 90% of the people who are sales and market oriented, typically they had their vision very, very clear in terms of what they want to do, where they want to do, and stuff like that. In the first year, it was more of a textbook learning and engaging. In the second year, I sort of got elected to the senior placement management committee, where actually my engagement with the corporate started from there, from the second year onwards. So studies were important, studies went on, but that engagement with the corporates gave a lot of exposure, gave a lot of thrust. There are a lot of things when you don't really engage or get your foot on the ground, you have a lot of perceptions and a lot of things which actually get corrected that way. So that sort of happened, and that has been helpful from day one. So I would say a mix of classroom, but more importantly the engagement with the batchmates, their perception, their approach, their learnings, those have been invaluable for me. Those have been invaluable for me.
Great. To start with it, Vishal, that a lot of students are also aiming to get into the sales and marketing, or might happen finance as a specialization, because these two specializations, they are always much more in demand irrespective which year we people are talking about. And
Absolutely.
so they're very curious to understand. Yes. So they are very curious to understand your position of a responsibilities, though you have highlighted a couple of things, but more from the point of view of how a typical day look like.
All right. So nowadays a typical day is very different. See, the functions that I manage are multiple. There is a sales team, and hence I am responsible for driving sales, which is hardcore numbers, and that is predominantly through the bancassurance and the partnership channels that we have. So we have a tie-up with almost 23 banks and almost 30 NBFCs, through which our policies get sold. We have a strong team of roughly around about 350 based out of West, which sort of manages, interacts, engages, goes to the branches and engages with the customer and sells the policies. So that is hardcore sales day in, day out. So my day typically, so that is one part of the profile. My second part of the profile is managing the key accounts for West. So of these banks and NBFCs that I have sort of mentioned, majority of them are based out of Mumbai, Bombay being the financial capital that way. So by virtue of these institutes being based out of Mumbai, I manage the entire account, which means that I am the key account. I go to their head office, engage with their HO teams, engage with their business heads, discuss about business as usual activities, discuss about new products, discuss about new channels, try to explore how business can be sort of increased. So for example, we've got RBL Bank, who's based out of Mumbai. I manage that personally. We've got ICICI Securities. I manage that. And there are a host of, and I've got, a couple of people in my team who manage the account. The third is business development. So business development is typically where you go and engage with such partners who are currently not associated with you, but you typically go and pitch them as to, why you should sell health insurance and why you should sort of tie up with Religare per se. So these are broadly the three categories is what I would say. it's a fine balance between how much time you give to each of your activity, because everything can suck in your time. So, if you're not very clearly in terms of well defined in terms of what to do, how much of job allocation is required. So typically my day is that morning and evening I have a con call with my sales team, scheduled in such a manner that with every team I touch base at least, once a week. So,
Right.
once I will have a call with the Bombay team, then with the Maharashtra team, then with the Gujarat team, then with the, public banks, some specialized teams, and so on and so forth. So, 9:30 to 10:30 are typical con calls. 5:30 to 6:30 are typical con calls again, which we have. And that is how, the day is allocated towards the sales function. Then, of course, the rest of the day is equally split between the managing the accounts and managing the new alliances. So we have multiple meetings that we intend to do with, the bank head offices, uh, requesting identification, prospecting, and, requesting for meetings with the newer partners, that prospects that we typically have. And of course there is firefighting which happens for, transactional issues which are always there. So the day sort of, goes in like that only, that way. But it's good because, the sector which is there, health insurance, it's a real dynamic evolving kind of a sector. And it's fun to work in this sector.
Great. Vishal, over to your almost more than 2 decades now, you have seen the insurance which used to be completely government dominated, right? The sector got
Yeah.
open and we got so many of changes then. So you have seen so many of new products also and new rules and regulations also. At the same time, Vishal, you are dealing with such a different type of people there. Say you are supposed to deal at some time with PSU banks also, and at the same time some private sector bank which are, I think, more easy when it comes to at least being receptive as far as your targets and the other things is concerned. So the question here is all about, while doing all these things, one needs to be adaptable. That's okay, but have you noticed that a specific personality traits which helps you to remain valid in today's corporate world, or which you can, guide us for a lot of youngsters, those who are watching this interview?
See, traits, number one is hard work. I have a very clear cut this thing that absolutely no substitute for hard work which is there. That is something which is very, very clearly there. Second is having a basic domain knowledge. So nowadays, just faffing about, 20,000 feet above the sky may not really help you in terms of, getting. So until you go down and get your hands and feet dirty and understand and then sort of, work on it, things typically don't sort of, really fly through. Uh, Confidence. So something, and I think that confidence sort of comes in only when you have the right
Right.
domain knowledge. Otherwise, that confidence is just, very superficial. Apart from that, communication skills and all, I would say, gets developed. So I'm not really too focused on that in terms of, communication skills and having that right. It is predominantly attitude of hard work and attitude of learning day in day out, and sort of, working towards, one kind of a cause which really helps here at the end of the day, Vishal.
Right, right. So it's fantastic. You say very clearly that sleeves on hand is still a very relevant leadership style, irrespective of what position you're working right now, right? And at the same time, we people are talking about, we are not, so much fancying the idea of a smart work, which many times get oversold, but you are underlying again the hard work as a things. Well, Vishal, many times people perceive that. If you can sell insurance, you can sell anything. And many times students perceive that insurance sector is a toughest sector to work in also. So what do you think? There is any myth, or it's all about reality?
So I'll answer it in a minute, but I thought that let me go back to the earlier question, and you talked of hard work.
Right.
One of the CEOs that I was working for, that's one dialogue that sort of comes in very, and he's been a mentor. And just to share with you, under him right now, he's produced almost 8 CEOs currently in the
Oh,
insurance
wow.
industry.
Wow.
And he's currently the CEO of ICICI Bank. Okay.
Great. Okay.
So that guy is a gem. And that dialogue he says, he said that there are 4 traits which absolutely cannot be done anything. One is hard work, second is humility, third is simplicity, and fourth is integrity.
Wow.
बोलते कुछ भी हो जाए, मतलब ये 4 चीजें ना लाइफ में कॉम्प्रोमाइज नहीं कर सकते आप. People will talk of smart work and all, but the end of the day, by it is hard work that sort of comes into the picture. Okay, and that has sort of stayed with me, thankfully, and I try to follow that way. Yeah, so that is there. Coming back to this question about insurance that you were talking of, uh, it's a myth. Frankly speaking, earlier, people used to think insurance as investment primarily because life insurance was sold more. Nowadays, people look at insurance more from a risk rather than an investment platform. And hence, even in life insurance, you see term life getting sold. In general insurance, people now understand the need to buy uh, insurance for their cars, for their houses, for their factories, and even health insurance with this COVID, scenario coming in very clearly. The kind of growth that we've seen in health insurance is phenomenal that way. So even in health insurance sector, so just to share with you, this sector is growing almost at 30-35% year on year. In a industry where typically your GDP grows at 6%, 7%, there an industry growing at a 30-35% year on year is
Video.
something which is very special. Can you hear me, Vishal? Vishal, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, please, please.
All right. So I was talking about the health insurance industry, that an industry which is growing at 30-35% is really an exceptional, considering that the health penetration in India is hardly at 6-7% as compared to developed countries which are almost at 75-80%. So
Right.
currently the industry size at 60,000 crores. Uh, my guess is very clearly that this kind of growth rate, which is a 25-30% growth rate, will continue for the next decade or so, very clearly. And hence, it's not a industry which people will struggle in selling. I think this is the right time to be in an insurance sector that way.
Right. And especially when almost from government to public, all people are focusing on health as a primary sector now. So we are
Sure.
expecting might happen that even the percentage of a GDP what we are investing will enhance like anything in the coming days post COVID.
Correct. So just to give you a perspective, Vishal, uh, typically you will have 7-8% of the Indian population which are covered through either their corporate insurance or their personal health insurance proposition. With the Ayushman Bharat kicking in, currently the expectation is that the bottom 35% of the pyramid will get covered with the Pradhan Mantri insurance scheme which is there. But still, if you look at it, this 35 plus 5, 40%, roughly around about 55 to 60% of the Indian population still doesn't have a health insurance. And with this COVID times coming in, very clearly people have seen that everyone now needs a health insurance. The healthcare costs are increasing like crazy. 1 lakh a day for a ICU in an ICU is normal. If a person is hospitalized for a week, easily, 3-4 lakh rupees of expenses are there. So, the need is there. Products rightfully are going in the right direction. The industry is maturing also. Players are so just to share with you, the regulator also, uh, it is only in India that they have now come across a specialized health insurance company concept. Otherwise, in Indian market, all you used to have was general insurance companies and used to have life insurance companies.
Right.
With this,
Right.
from a regulatory perspective, also there is focus on health insurance build up here that way. So it's a sunshine industry very clearly. I mean, from that point of view, from a financial kind of services sector, industry is the sector which is growing by leaps and bounds. Specifically, health insurance is what I'm saying.
Right. Right. Vishal, though you are working predominantly with sales as a portfolio, but do you think many times even the people, those who are in sales, they give a very critical inputs when it comes to a development of a new product altogether, later on to be introduced in the market, or whether it's always a different team flooded with lot of actuarial science specialists and they are only responsible to make it?
No, so of course, no one to give a better perspective than the sales team,
Right.
because they are they always have their ears on the ground. They know what
Right.
the ground reality is. They are the ones who meet up with the consumers, and hence, their interaction and engagement with the customers. They have the right perspective in terms of currently what is the solution that we are offering, and where are the gaps in those solutions, and or what could be the new avenues that one could look at it. Okay, so from that perspective, nothing beats a person who sort of had a experience on the ground level very clearly. That helps a lot. From a product development perspective, of course, these inputs are taken, and hence product development sort of comes into the picture. Okay, during reviews, during engagements, during interactions, it is typically the voice of the sales team, not specifically, it may not be in a very structured manner saying that we need to develop a new product, you tell us what is that new product should be. No, it is
Right.
during multiple engagements, multiple discussions as to what is happening in the market, what competition is doing, what customer feedbacks are sort of coming in. Those kind of feedbacks is where the concept of then development of new product proposition sort of takes place. The second thing also is that from a perspective, the Indian market is developing, whereas we've got many developed markets abroad, which are there. However, just copying and pasting those kind of product propositions to an Indian market will not help, because India, from a market perspective, is a very different market. And hence, getting those concepts, again, bouncing it to the sales team giving their feedbacks, and hence the product becoming refined, or having a different aspect to suit to the Indian markets, clearly sort of helps. So of course, sales is critical. Otherwise, we've seen a lot of development, product developments that have happened, but not really taken off. Not really taken off.
Right. Vishal, it's always seen that profit and ethics, these are two different concepts, and many times we put them against to each other. And especially in a sector where you are working, also it's so you need to balance delicately. But on a personal front, I know that you are a person of coming from a lot of a value-oriented family, and that's clearly seen in your DNA. So, have you seen any time you lost something just because it's not so ethically to be done, a particular framework which you always carry with yourself, or whether it goes hand in hand? What's your take?
I'll go back to that question. The statement, hard work, simplicity, humility, and last was integrity. So integrity,
Right.
very clearly. I mean, one can cut corners, but how sustainable is that is a big question mark. So, our CEO always says that, for Religare Health, the vision is that it should be a company which will be for which will be a company which will be established at, let's say, for the next 100 years. So if it's a company that needs to be there for the next 100 years, we can't cut corners that case. Okay, so that is very clearly in terms of the work ethics that one needs to have at the workplace, be it any organization or be it any this thing. I don't think so that's a right approach and the right way to do. Nevertheless, there are circumstances which are there, but one needs to be very, very clear in terms of integrity is always first here. Absolutely no questions asked.
Great, great. Once again to reinforce on that. Okay, last couple of questions and then we'll start with the Q&A session. Vishal, over these 2 decades, you got opportunity, and in fact, it's a part and parcel of your daily work to work with so many of different type of people where culture is different, their educational background is different, overall their grooming is different also. But have you seen a very stark way? Is there any major difference? Have you noticed while working uh, with the people who is coming from the 2 years of formal management school background and the person who haven't gone into MBA degree?
Uh, so, frankly speaking, if I were to look at it, couple of decades back, we had very rigid systems in terms of, this guy's done a BE and hence he's an engineer. This guy's done a MBA and hence only he can do business or, stuff like that. Couple of things. One is with the new markets that have come, India as a market has really opened up very, very well. It's a market, and I think we are in a right generation span is what I would say. Things have to be better for India only. I don't think so. If we do something very very जो बोलते हैं ना पैर पे कुल्हाड़ी मारने वाला मतलब काम अगर नहीं करे, then there is
Right,
prosperity for every Indian which is there.
right.
In this kind of market there will be multiple opportunities which will come. Uh, what an MBA or what any education course does is that basic acumen is always there. But what it does is it stimulates that acumen and it makes the person sensitized to those acumen which is already there in that person. So I wouldn't say that doing business is a rocket science. We've seen many non-MBAs also sort of coming in and doing the great job. But if you do an MBA, at least you are, like I said, it gives you a flavor. It gives you, some kind of an experience that when you go into an organization, you are better equipped, is what I would say. Of course, after 3 years, 4 years, 5 years down the line, the experience that you gain while doing the job is much higher in terms of the actual experience vis-a-vis an MBA course or an education. But actually entering into the for the first 2 to 3 years, I would say an MBA course really helps a lot. Really helps a lot, Vishal.
Right. So the courtesy of the basic orientation, what they get into that 2 years, they become
Sure.
little bit more plug and play candidate for the corporates from a day one,
Absolutely.
if I can
Absolutely.
summarize. Right, right, right.
Absolutely.
Right, Vishal. So before we throw this discussion on open platform, one last question from my side. What's your advice in a broad way for budding professionals before they enter in corporate world? We have already got a fantastic 4 important learnings which you have given, and which seems to be so broad and which we can apply to our daily life also, forget about only the professional life also. But
Sure.
apart from
Sure.
that, any piece of advice before they enter in a corporate world, Vishal?
See, couple of things is always try to I've told many this thing. If you have a buddy who's sort of it could be your senior, it could be your 1 year 2 year kind of a senior, it could be someone who's part of friend family who's already into a corporate life. It is always better to get connected and try to get inputs from them in terms of what actually they tell you in terms of and you gaining an insightful. Number two, from that perspective, there is some limitation is what I would say. So if a person wants to enter into a sales and marketing job, he may not have that kind of a vision that, oh, I want to enter into FMCG only, oh, I want to get into financial services. It is more in terms of, I would say, the scenarios where, for example, if a placement company from an FMCG comes and he gets into an FMCG company, that job is there. So for the first 2 to 3 years is what I would say, rather than focusing in terms of, oh, I wanted to become a brand manager, but hey, I'm actually doing sales and marketing. That I think for the first 2 to 3 years, just forget about it. Just sort of try to see what you can experience. जो बोलते हैं कि मतलब for the first basic years, any experience sort of counts in. It is better to have the grounds level experience rather than going into directly joining as a brand manager for some company. So trust me, guys, sales and marketing, getting your hands dirty, trying to learn the things is very, very clearly the in thing which is there. So that is number one. Number two, for the first 2 3 years, like I said again, please treat these years as years of learning rather than sort of seeing that this is my goalpost which is there. Try to see that as a destination towards reaching your goalpost. Automatically, where you want to be, that will get very clearly there. Uh, when we did schooling, we didn't know whether we will do engineering or we'll enter into medicine field or we'll enter into this thing. So even when we are doing MBA, we will really not know whether we will actually get into an FMCG sales and marketing job, or we will get into, let's say, a consumer durable brand managerial job, or we will get into advertisement industry, or for that matter, we will get into a, let's say, an Ernst and Young and, those kind of organizations. So take it easy. If it is destined for you and if you are hardworking, eventually, which organization you go, what kind of job that you are doing and what kind of learning you are doing is critical, rather than actually. So for me, for example, a person going into Hindustan Liver and doing a, one kind of a focused job vis-a-vis a person who's going into an FMCG which is much smaller. So at our time, we used to talk of Kevin Klein, Kevin Care, sorry. The learnings in Kevin Care would be much, much higher than a Hindustan Unilever. So people actually wanted to go into, Kevin Klein for a much higher kind of learning. And then, you've got the entire career ahead of you. You've got what, 35, 40 years of work that you can do, and there'll be multiple opportunities which will keep on coming, and you can define your way path very, very clearly. Yeah, so initial years, please treat that as, for years to get practice, for years to gain experience, and sort of, learn from it.
Right. So Vishal, hello.
Yeah.
Vishal, you are able to hear me? Right. Yeah.
Yes,
So to
yes,
summarize, we got a very fantastic advice, Vishal. You mean to say that don't only rush or run behind the big brands, but even these startups are more critical to strengthen your professional skills at entry level. Am I draw the right insight?
Absolutely. So, people little get disappointed. See, hota kya hai, I'll tell you. When you go and meet someone and when you tell him, oh, I'm working for Cadbury's, suddenly that recollection, oh, you work for Cadbury's, okay. When you tell them and go, oh, I work for XYZ Limited, where the person will say, who's this company? Don't get demotivated by that. That is not what it counts. What is the work that you are doing? Of course, salary is important. What is the salary that you are drawing? And at the end of the day, are you happy with the learnings and with the work that you're doing is very, very critical. So there are many people who have left the corner offices and entered into their own ventures or small time ventures which are there. I mean, it's the thrill of working only that sort of counts at the end of the day.
Great. Lovely, Vishal. So let's start with the Q&A. A lot of questions, they are already in my inbox. I'll go one by one. Okay, so Amit is asking one thing that Sir, why do you have remain only in one domain, and will you advise us for the same? So broadly speaking, they are talking about the entire BFIS and why you love only in that domain.
So, so while it was in one domain, I, I think I told you that insurance as an industry was evolving. So when I joined, ICICI Lombard, general insurance, the private players was sort of very new. We did a lot of new things, and for me, having new projects or new things have sort of been a thrill for me, and that's what I did when I was with ICICI Lombard. So we built up the entire motor industry, health motor insurance industry. We built up the entire ICICI banking industry. I was deputed to ICICI Bank in ICICI Lombard for 3 months, for 6 months, sorry, rather, to start up the insurance at ICICI Bank. So a lot of new projects were there. At Tata AIG also, a lot of new projects were there, and the kind of direction that the company took after those new projects was really, really amazing. At health insurance again, for this is a sunshine industry. So this industry is currently at its infant stage, is what I would say. So one thrill also works, and the way that I look from an insurance perspective is that I'm selling a product which a customer may not need it now, but at least after 3 years, 5 years, whenever he needs it, my sense is that a 0.0000001% of his wishes will go towards the company, saying that अरे मैंने health insurance लिया था, I am now hospitalized, at least I'm getting my claim back. I think that's a goodwill that's working fine. I'm getting huge opportunities here, still learning, something which is not ceased, still engaging and interacting with multiple banks, multiple organizations. So as we are speaking, the topmost 3 4 private banks we've already engaged with, and we are the kind of learnings and the thrill which is there is unparalleled till this date, and hence I'm sticking on to this industry.
Great. So it's almost like it's not a one domain. The sheer size and overall the number of partners, they are coming from such a different background. So you're always dealing with large spectrum. It's not going to be a very monotonous job for you, right?
Sure, sure, sure. Absolutely, absolutely.
Great. Okay, Sudhanshu is asking you, Vishal, how do you deal with ever demanding targets in insurance sector? They are asking that how do you remain still a very cool and a calm guy, right? Or you got your
So
moment of frustration also.
so I'll tell you, see, targets and numbers is something which is not there just in insurance. It is part and parcel of any industry. It is part and parcel of any organization that you will join. Okay, so even if a person is not in hardcore sales, still targets will be there. So for example, in finance, there will be some targets which will be assigned. If it is in customer service or operations or project management, there will be still targets which will be assigned. So that's part and parcel of having benchmarks, and then measuring as to what benchmarks you typically are. So it's part and parcel of life. It gets ingrained here at the end of the day, and that is how you also drive your teams. Of course, the right parameters are very critical in terms of driving. At the end of the day, हो जाता है यार, करना पड़ता है.
Great. So that is
I'm
the
sure
bottom
Vishal,
line. हो
Vishal,
जाता है.
so
Yeah.
I'll tell you, Vishal may also have certain targets which are there, and as all of you also would be setting certain targets. Okay, just that your
Right.
targets would not be related to sales or not be related to business, but at least in your
Right.
personal life also you set certain targets and goals here. So that's part of how the work culture is across.
Fantastic. Yogita is asking the next question, and in fact, I would have been happy to rope in Anjali to answer this question rather than you. Yogita is asking, is there any work-life balance or not?
Thankfully, Anju is not here. So,
Yeah.
so I'll tell you, India is still a developing country, right? As compared to the developed countries, we work harder. That's a fact. Huh? Uh, there is still a how would I say, there is still a sense that this generation needs to work a lot harder for the country to sort of, improve, not just for the country, for everyone, for the society also, for an individual also. Okay. And with the opportunities which are there, trust me, it's demanding. What it was 20 years back to what it was now, a person uh, can have a work-life balance which is there. Having said, with the new technologies coming in, it is adding to some kind of a pressure, but karna padta hai. So at the end of the day, if the work demands and you think that this is not a service, but this is a business that you own, it comes within you that you have to attend, whether it's that phone call or whether it is that extra meeting or whether it is that those extra couple of hours that you have to sort of, log in for that day.
Right, very true, very true. And to be very honest, to start as a fresher to start your career, I think we should not be oversold on this concept of work-life balance. As long as we are passionately, enjoying what it's there in plate, then hardly there's any complaint then, right, Vishal?
Yeah. So see, the good part is for the first 2 to 3 years, you are a bachelor. Typically,
Right,
in all probability, you'll be staying in a chamri along with your colleagues and stuff like that. Huh?
right,
Uh,
right, right,
any which ways, you've got long hours associated whenever you were there in your campus. Okay, you can't you can't
right,
you can't pass from a campus without putting in those long hours and very, very clearly.
right.
Continue focusing on your work for the first 3 to 4 years. Then you will see things smoothing down there.
Great. Okay, next question is interesting one. Arif is asking you, Vishal, if someone missed IIMS and completes his MBA from, say, GEM, TAPME, IMI, this level of a brands, can they still aim for CEO chair one day, or they have a glass ceiling? A very interesting question, Vishal.
Uh, Interesting question, very frequently asked, but I would say it doesn't matter here. It doesn't matter. I mean, uh, you know, yes, for a fact that majority of the CEOs would be from IIMs, yes. Uh, but at that same extent, there are many CEOs who do not belong to IIMs. There would be many CEOs who even don't have are not pass outs from an MBA school. Yeah,
MBA,
at the end of the
right?
day. Yeah, so it is all about, like I said, if you have the right attitude, if you have the right, acumen, that is very critical. And of course, in India, timing is also very, very important. So we've seen great leaders going up to, a CXO level, but not really reaching into the CEO level. So, thoda, matlab, timing pe bhi hota hai, but from an acumen perspective, no one can stop. I mean, we've got people who don't even have a formal education doing real wonders in life. I mean, most of the guys that we see were dropouts here. Matlab, be it Microsoft or
Mm,
Virgin Atlantic and stuff
yeah.
like that. Yeah. So don't be restrictive. Never. I didn't get into an IIM. Now I'm at a next to an below an IIM kind of an institute. But hey, that institute is also great. All I'm trying to say is that uh, uh, please keep an ambition so that you don't get into an institute which is a real, I mean, where you don't get such kind of an exposure. You should try to get into an institute where that people from various uh, parts of the country actually come to that institute. That
Right.
exposure of multiple regions and multiple people coming in, having an institute, for example, I don't know, I'm not naming any institute, I don't know it either, where typically you will have people who are there in your 11th and 12th only attending that same MBA institute, will not give you that kind of a exposure in your future life. And hence, choosing an institute, aiming for an institute and studying hard for it and then getting into it is good enough here. So I would say the top 30, 40, 50, I don't know, institutes would be good enough for any person to sort of, take things further in life.
Great. In fact, to continue with that, we got one more question from Shanaya. She is asking, does 2 years of a sharing campus gives you a lifelong business network?
Networking is everything. Does it help you? Yes. Am I connected with my colleagues at campus? Yes. Do I reach out to them for most of the stuff? No. So it depends on what kind of in an industry are you sort of working on. It depends on your core personality also. If you're an introvert, typically a networking may not be your core thing, but hey, I mean that doesn't matter as long as you're sort of being successful in life. uh, what it does is that the 2 year that you typically stay with them gives you that inputs, gives you their perspective, and when you get into corporate life, you are much comfortable. Yeah, much comfortable.
Right,
So for
right,
the
right,
first
right.
3 to 4 years, of course, that networking helps you in
Helps
terms
you.
of but slowly as it grows over the years, you're not sort of network across with everyone here. It's that group only that you will form in your campus that you will be sort of associated with very clearly.
Right, right, right. Right, Vishal. The next question is from Kaushal, and again, a very interesting question it seems to be. He is asking whether people are loyal to company or their immediate leadership. Since we have seen if leadership travel with their, leadership travels with their loyal teammates. You're getting it, the question, Vishal?
I got it. I got it. So
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
so I'll tell you, yes, to an extent, it is your immediate supervisors that are sort of important. If you get the right kind of team, and when I say team, I don't just mean the boss. Okay, it's your colleagues also, it is your boss also, it is your boss's boss also, and the kind of culture which is there. Yeah, which typically determines whether your mood is what I would say to the organization. So if that is positive, of course, you will work much harder. If that is not really there, and the organization is much into politics and stuff like that, and you've got a crappy boss, and at times you do get, uh, uh, at times it pays to sort of hold on. Automatically things could work well. The boss could quit and he could go, or there could be a restructuring where you could move to a different team. At times it's good enough to sort of move on. So it all depends. Rather than the company, I would say it is to do with the boss, but at times it's to do with the company and the sector also that way. So both are sort of equally sort of there.
Okay, great. Then there's a long question. The kinds of finance companies also which provide finance to big projects also. Which best domain is it? So the question is again from Akash. He's asking that which domain you think is best to work, insurance or general finance? It's again a very gross
There,
question, Vishal, if you can answer.
there is no right answer. Okay,
Right.
there may be a person in an insurance industry who's been doing amazingly well, doesn't want to enter into a finance industry. There may be a person in finance industry who's doing amazingly well but doesn't want to get into an insurance. So it's see, no sector is good or bad. Every sector has its own opportunities. Every sector has its own negativity. So just saying that this is good or this is bad is not really that. I mean, take the example of banking industry. The number of banks that are opening up presents an amazing opportunity in terms of the banking services industry. For that matter, the kind of services which the banks are giving, the digital services which are giving, and the kind of takeoffs which are going to happen in India, especially on the white money and the banking industry and the financial inclusion. I mean, that industry is going to take off really, really well. So like I said, every sector in India for the next 15, 20 years is going to boom if things go well. Of course, COVID was unplanned that ways, but here also you can see multiple sectors sort of doing really good here in these times. So it's not really sector oriented is what I would say. It is more to do with what exactly are you doing, which organization are you working, what position are you in, and like I said, how are your colleagues which are there.
Right, very right. The next question is from Chetan Ahire, and he's asking you, I like to build a product as well as I observe people, their purchasing habits also, and I'm also a creative guy. Also love to build business plan and execute in a very strategic way. Which stream would you suggest to me to go in for?
Wow. Okay,
Can you
so
add value, Vishal? Yeah.
what I heard was products, what I heard was project management and stuff. The streams could be multiple. So see, products can be built in financial services also, products can be built in FMCG also, products can be built in healthcare also, across. So it is only products and which sort of sell in the market. From a project management perspective, again, it is multiple things that are. The only thing is that if you are focused on finance and you are focused on project management, then probably project financing could be something that you could look after. But from that perspective, I mean, you know, uh, it is the sector that you're looking at, and the rather than this project finance, because project finance would be there in FMCG, project finance is there in banking, project finance is there in services industry also. So it all depends as to what you're sort of currently looking at.
Right. And if I add value here, Chetan, to continue with what Vishal have just told you, that overall, if in case you are looking for not a specific only finance as a things, and if you're talking about building the business plan and executing, well, that is what is any 2 years of MBA is going to teach you, that how you can drag your random ideas and convert them with proper action in product, and then create a good amount of a paths to profitability and to throw in a market. So overall, it's more important and recommended that you should go for MBA, and along with that, at least try to choose some domain or the electives in which you wish to specialize in. Okay, so the next question, Akash Jethani is asking Vishal, does it matter that one need to have a knowledge of working in sales before the MBA?
uh, I would say yes and no, matlab that way. So uh, you know coming out of MBA and then sort of, so what I've seen most of the people do is that they uh, they started doing their jobs, then they realize that an MBA will really help them in terms of giving that fillip to that career, and then they enter into a good campus, and then they get a better job which is couple of notches higher than that what they are currently doing. uh, the second is, of course, you have that ambition from day one that I want to enter into an MBA from a good campus, and then I get a respective job which is there. So, both the options are there. For an experienced guy, then to enter into an MBA, I think it's more of a realization that had he done an MBA prior to him getting a job, he would have developed it much. So, if you were to ask me, frankly speaking, doing an MBA when you still have a chance after your graduation is a better opportunity. Is a better opportunity.
Right. And to be very honest, there is no prerequisites. In fact, salespeople will be much more happy to recruit a fresher rather than someone who's coming with a little bit amount of a biasness about the industry and the other things. Right, Fishan?
Yeah. So I'll tell you more of the executive programs which are there, which are specially designed for people who are experienced. Huh? So having an experience of, let's say, 5 years, 6 years, and then entering into an executive MBA program is a much better choice rather than working for a year or 2 year and then doing a regular MBA.
Right, right, right. Okay, so the next question is entrepreneurship related again. Does it take an indigenous idea or something more? Vishal, the question is having the good indigenous idea is more than enough, or whether it takes something more.
No, no, no. So multiple ideas, very, very indigenous, but for the fact that that person has not been able to develop it into a marketable a proposition. He's not been able to manage the expenses. So we've seen a lot of, I mean, in insurance, I have engaged with many so-called web aggregators. Someone like Policy Bazaar is what I would say. Someone like CoverFox is what I would say. So there are a lot of people who enter with a very good idea, but because they don't understand the industry, they don't understand the nitty-gritties, and it's just an idea stage, getting it converted into a real marketable product, number one. Number two, having a sustainable growth, because what happens is you've got an idea and then you will put a lot of funds into it unnecessary, and then you will see the cost escalating. If you don't get much of a response in the initial time, your funds go dry, and the company goes bankrupt. So not that I'm not saying that one shouldn't, if one wants to be an entrepreneur, why not, but it is better to have a whole idea about other things in which requires an entrepreneurship, rather than just hey, this is a good idea, let me start working on my own and let me sort of start working on it. So it is really, really good to sort of, that's why most of the entrepreneurs, when they start, they will recruit people from industry domains. So they will recruit a finance guy, they will recruit a sales and marketing guy, they will recruit a brand management kind of a guy, they will recruit a guy who's experienced in processes, and these people will then form the core team to then work on that idea. So the idea may be good, but if that implementation of that idea is not great, so things don't fly off. Things don't fly off. And typically, so you look at Flipkart, the Bansals had a good idea, but that core team which is there below them, that those are the main guys who execute. You've got Shekhar, that Vijay Shekhar, also Paytm, amazing idea, but you've got that core team to sort of execute. If you don't have that execution skills, the idea can't then fructify. That is.
So to summarize, Jeevan, it's all about not only having a vision, the vision is there, but you require a lot of execution skill. And I think precisely you must have realized also there are so many of startups, and that startup has been started by a person who's not coming from a particular MBA background, but over the period, if they want to scale up, they really wanted management background people to join them and then to scale up their entire idea to a different level. And that is what any sound 2 years of an MBA program is going to add value there. Right. Next question is there for you, Vishal, again. Okay, there are a lot of questions. I'm so sorry. By seeing
No, no,
the
no. We can.
number of questions, I'm not sure that how many questions we can justify, but yes, there's one interesting question, Vishal, for you, that you have changed more than a couple of jobs. What's your advice to us after MBA? Many times people criticize that if we jump from one job to the another job within 3 years, they say that you are only thinking about money. What's your take?
Uh, Very frequent. When I say very frequent, leaving jobs in a year, 2 years time, uh, in multiple successions, is not good. So
Right.
that is a reflection of you not really getting gelled into that environment. That is a reflection of so one can still understand that you quit a company, then you went into one more company, and in that company you quit within a year and you went to one more company. Okay, but if your CV says that you quit one company in 6 months and then you join one company, you quit in 1.5 years, then you join one more company and you quit in 1 year, that is not great. That is not great. Having quick succession movements are not good for the career, and hence whenever you move from one career to another, or one job or one organization to another, it is very important for you to understand where you are currently going, your responsibilities are, what are your expectations, and getting that expectations corrected with the prospective organization is very, very important. So I'll share with you most of the jumps that I've had. uh, so from Stancy I jumped within 1 year. From Signa TTK I've jumped within 1 year. But my jumps were primarily because uh, my colleagues whom I was working previously joined these organizations, and they reached out to me proactively without me actually searching for jobs, saying that, Vishal, hey, why don't you join us as a team? Because this is what we think, this is what the organization is, this is what we think you should be doing within the organization. So it was more of referencing rather than me really looking up. I'm not liking this. I'm desperate. I want to move and stuff like that. Yeah. So quick succession job movements are not really appreciated very, very clearly. But
Right,
but
right,
once or twice if you've done it, I mean that's normal, pretty normal. That's not a problem.
right, right. And in continuation, there's one more question. Guys, by the way, I'm not going to touch the questions which are not directly relevant with our today's guest. You know how to reach out to me, so I can definitely answer them later on. But we will be in a more contextual manner. We will answer the questions, those who are directly related with our conversation and with our topic. So there's one more question, Vishal, that uh, you have you you know have okay in a very big way. I'll just put the summary in front of you rather than narrating the question. How often you have observed that you were misfit for a particular task, but still you need to carry on with that company or with that task before you exit?
No, so there are, so I'll tell you, in professional careers, there will be many situations where you will be uncomfortable. So rather than misfit, I would say uncomfortable situations. Yeah. One needs to deal with it. One needs to view it as a positive and get the learnings from it rather than shying away. It is one thing that you wanted a job in marketing, but you have actually got a finance job and you don't have any domain knowledge, which is a strict domain knowledge. The other in sales and marketing is more of commonsensical and attitude related rather than having those real kind of formula. नहीं आया तो भाई नहीं आएगा तुम्हें. Those kind of scenarios are not really there in sales and marketing. So thankfully, wherever I have ventured into new responsibilities which are given to me, it is more of me learning and then sort of implementing rather than. So it does it get uncomfortable? Yes, because it's not in your comfort zone. Why it is not in your comfort zone is because you really don't know, but you want to learn, which is more important. So just to share with you, uh, I know of people who moved from finance functions into sales and development functions. I know of people who moved from product functions to sales and functions. I know of people who moved from sales and functions into other domain functions. Yeah, so that's perfectly normal, perfectly fine.
Okay, there is one question is coming from Sanjana. Yes, if I spell right, yes, Sanjana. She's asking that she's interested as such, by the way, in HR as a specialization. So from that
Sure.
point of view, she's asking, have you faced any exit interview in your life, and how was the experience?
Yeah. I mean, it's part and parcel for every organization to do an exit interview when you leave the organization. Some organization view it very, very as a very important function. In some organization, it's a mere formality which is there. So, you know, uh, thankfully, the organizations where I've left on a good note. So there's been nothing truly negative or truly to that extent, where, there were clashes and stuff like that. So it was a normal feedback session during the exit interview, which have been sort of, given.
Right. Yes, I should take this light question also. Nikumb, I'm not able to guess the first name. Nikumb, Mr. Nikumb is asking that whether you get time to pursue your hobbies or not. Yes, on a personal front, I know that Vishal loves driving and he will be very happy to drive as many times as he can. But yes, you can answer Vishal that how do you manage to
No,
pursue
so
your hobbies?
टाइम निकालना पड़ता है frankly speaking. हाँ मतलब so but if it is really a hobby and you really want to pursue it, there are ways and means that one can sort of, of course at times you need to compromise on your hobby related, but निकालना ही पड़ता है. So someone, who's too enthusiastic about, jogging, I know for a fact that, 2 hours a day he jogs irrespective of the time that he sort of has. I know of people who are training for Ironman in our organization, and the kind of jobs. I mean, he is a chief distribution officer in my organization. That way. Okay, so people will pursue their hobbies because at the end of the day, it is what you aim to do for achieving a completeness, and it is not just work. It is of course life and hobby development also, which is there.
Right, right. Guys, a lot of questions are there, but I think we should to wrap up this discussion, and we'll be very happy to connect back again to Vishal because he's like an extended family member to us now. So we'll be looking forward for his association in the time to come. But if I can just pick up any one question out of this left, just a second, I'll just scroll through it. Someone is asking Vishal that you have never got excited with any entrepreneurship or any startup because we are sure that you must have been, looking all these plans from a little distance. So, any plan for that?
No, so frankly speaking, in Religare Health, just to share with you, the top 40, 50 of us, very clearly we see ourselves as, business owners here. So thankfully, the organization that I'm working with, it's more of a entrepreneurial feeling where you completely own the business, you drive the business, whatever ideas you have, you are free to execute it. You are even free to do mistakes, but repetition of mistakes is not sort of taken well, because then you've not learned from the mistakes which is there. So from an organization perspective, I would say this is more like a entrepreneurial organization, and hence, to that extent, like I said, your work-life balance, your everything which is there, when you view it that this is your business that you are running, vis-a-vis a feeling that only, oh, it's a 9 to 5 kind of a job only, then automatically those attitude changes and everything sort of changes come into the picture. So no, I have not had that feeling that I need to get into that entrepreneurial mode on myself, because what I'm working here is entrepreneurial in itself.
Right. So it's a more kind of rather than E for entrepreneurship, what he's doing regularly is intrapreneurship, and this is how he is satisfying himself. Great, Vishal. So I'm so sorry, guys. We need to end this session because one more session is lined up for you in the evening, 5:30. That's going to be the VARC master class. And before that, once again, thank you so much, Vishal, for being here with us, sacrificing your Sunday morning also. And though it's lockdown, but I know that how this lockdown is tough, especially for the guys like you, and you need to squeeze more, you need to work more. And once again, we our best wishes to your professional journey. And we will be very happy to connect with you again very soon on some different topics. And we'll be looking forward continuous guidance from your end also, Vishal. Thank you so much, Vishal.
Thank you so much, Vishal. It's been a pleasure and real fun to be part of this session. It's always good to sort of engage, and if someone can gain good insights, then why not? Yeah. Thank you so much for having me on this platform, Vishal.
Right. Thank you. Right, friends. So
All
we
right.
are signing off. Yes, we are signing off, and we'll see you in the evening 5:30 with the topic VARC Masterclass. Till then, stay safe, stay productive. Bye bye. Thank you.
All right. Bye. Have a nice weekend.
Right. Bye bye, Vishal.